Last class, we talked all about the green group, and today we'll be talking about another group from my plate. We've already talked about fruits and vegetables and the importance of making half of your plate filled with fruits and vegetables to give your body vitamins that you can't get through other sources. Today, we're going to be talking about the protein group. You'll notice that the protein group only takes a small corner of your plate. Can you think of any foods that belong in the protein group? I have a tray with me. Maybe you'll notice some of your favorites. There's turkey and chicken, peanut butter, sunflower seeds, beans, and eggs. Eggs is one that we typically forget and sometimes think belong in the dairy group. But in fact, eggs belong in the protein group and give our body a lot of important nutrients. In fact, today we're going to be talking a lot about eggs and beginning our lesson with a fun experiment. Have you ever dropped an egg before? Very messy, right? You can hard boil eggs when you have Easter and you color and decorate them, but if the eggs are not hard boiled, they're very easily broken and can cause a big mess. Today we're going to be doing an experiment with eggs to see how we can prevent them from breaking. We're going to be taking one of these eggs and placing it in a Ziploc bag. We're going to fill different types of materials in this Ziploc bag to see which one prevents the egg and protects the shell the most. Let's head outside for this experiment. Okay, the four materials we're going to use today, we have water and rice and salt and oobleck. This is like cornstarch and water. So make a hypothesis, which one do you think is going to protect the egg the best? Water didn't do so good. Cracked right as soon as it hit the ground. All right, let's look at the rice. From one side it looks good, but bad news, it cracked too. Okay, salt ripped through the bag, but our egg stayed intact, so it moves on to the next round. All right, let's check out the oobleck. What were your guesses for this one? It is still completely intact. Moves on to the next round too. All right, our salt egg didn't make it. You cracked right there. It lasted pretty good though, but not the whole thing. All right, let's take a look at the oobleck. What do you think? You survived another experiment. Good as new. All right, let's go higher. Let's take a look at this one. What do you think? Oh, the high drop. Ooh, barely broke. Too high. And good, because I don't want to go any higher. Have you ever made oobleck at home? Pretty fascinating that it can even protect an uncooked egg. Very fascinating. Well, today, like we mentioned earlier, we'll be talking all about the protein group and why it's so important for your body. Remember, each of the groups on my plate each do a specific special role for our bodies that the others cannot compensate for. So if you're not eating your protein foods, you're not getting the essential, crucial part that they do for our bodies. And let's talk about what they do. Let's begin by first touching your hair. Any guesses what your hair is made from? Protein. What about your fingernails? Maybe look at those fingernails for a minute. They're all diverse and different, and guess what? Made of protein. How about your skin? Try pinching your skin and watch it spring back. Any guesses what this is made from? Protein. The collagen in your skin is what helps your skin bounce back when it's moved out of position. And this collagen is yet again made from protein. And once again, if you flex those muscles, this is our main thing we think about when we think of the importance of proteins. Proteins also help build your muscles, which are a little harder to see because they're under so many layers of skin, but yet again made from protein. You can see a pattern here, right? Your hair, your nails, your skin, your muscles, all are made of protein, which is why it is so important that you're eating enough protein. It's estimated that your body is made of over 2 million kinds of protein. Can you believe that? That's a lot of protein and shows you why it's so important that your body is having it to make all these important parts on your body on the outside and also on the inside of your body, all made of protein. Very, very important. Now I have some things in my brown bag right here that will help us understand some more important things that protein does for our body. I have some clues and let's see how well you are at guessing what these clues are symbolizing. All right, the first one is a battery. What do you think this could symbolize in the purpose of protein? Now, if you put a battery into a remote control car or toy, what happens? It helps it go, right? It gives it energy. And protein is a way that our body gets energy. If you remember from last class, the main group that gives our body energy is food that belongs in the grain group. But the protein group also offers our body calories, which gives our body energy to move and function and work properly. So energy is one function that protein does for our body that is really important. Let's see our next clue. A Band-Aid. What do you think this could symbolize? Another important role that protein does for our body is repair. We talked about how protein is found all over our body. So think, what if your fingernail chips and breaks off? It hurts, right? If it gets down deep enough. But what protein does is it repairs that part. Also, if you get a cut or a scrape and your body needs to build new skin, guess where it's coming from? The protein group. So along with energy, repair is also an important function that protein does for our body. Okay, next clue. Were you able to guess those two? All right, I have a little stretchy guy here. So what is he symbolizing? Growth. Did you know the protein group helps your body to grow? Along with repair, it helps to make more cells and more structures in our body. So when you're growing, especially at your age, and you're growing at a really fast rate, protein is so important so that you have all of the needed building blocks to make your arms and your legs and body and brain and everything to grow and function properly. So growth, another important thing. Do you know what our protein is made from? We've talked a little bit about this over the past couple years. Protein is made of building blocks called amino acids. Amino acids are kind of like an alphabet if you think of it this way. Words on your spelling test or in the books that you study are all made from letters, and that's the same thing with amino acids. There's 20 essential amino acids that our body has to have to make different structures. When you eat a protein food, let's say for instance, maybe an egg, since we're talking about eggs today. If I eat an egg, it goes into my stomach and gets denatured. That means all the amino acids are broken down and they become separate letters, like in a word. Those letters can now be made into different amino acids and different proteins that are needed throughout our body. So just like the ABCs have letters, they also form words. And without the letter A, there's a lot of different words that you cannot make. The same thing with proteins that our body needs to form our hair and our nails and our muscles and our skin and our collagen. They need specific amino acids, and we get these from eating foods in the protein group. Okay, next we have a belt. Any guesses what a belt would symbolize? Now at Thanksgiving time, if you have a belt on and you're eating a big dinner, what happens? You want to release that belt, right? Because your stomach feels so full. And that is something that protein does for our body. It helps our body to feel, to have satiety. And what that means is that your body feels full for longer. The protein group takes, foods that belong in the protein group take a lot longer for your body to denature or take apart. This helps your stomach to stay full for longer. So let's say if I was to eat maybe a donut, that donut would come down my body and into my stomach, and it would very quickly be digested and taken apart, right? Now if I was to eat maybe a chicken breast or some peanut butter or maybe some black beans, These foods take a lot longer to digest or break apart. So when I eat these foods, they stay in my stomach a lot longer, helping me to feel full and not get hungry as fast. This helps my body to stay strong and healthy and have all the nutrients it needs to form all those very important proteins. So our protein group is so important. Remember that there are animal sources that we can find protein in. That would be examples like chicken breast, turkey, hamburger, steak, even hot dogs, right? All of these are made from meat products that come from animals, and they're a great way that we can get our amino acids from the proteins. Another way we can get these is from foods that do not belong in the meat group. That would be foods like black beans, sunflower seeds, nut butters like peanut butter and almond butter, and even eggs, right? And there are some people you may know, or maybe yourself, that are vegetarians. And vegetarian means that they decide not to eat plant sources of protein. So they can get their protein foods from these different sources. There's also some people that are vegans, and what vegan means is that they don't eat anything that is an animal source or comes from an animal. So that would rule out eggs, and they would focus more on the black beans, seeds, and nuts and nut butters, and that's how they could get their protein foods. You see the importance of protein foods? It's great that there's lots of different sources that people can eat these, because there are people that decide not to eat animal sources, which is fine. They can get these in other sources so that all of their body still has those amino acids to create the proteins to form their hair and nails and skin and muscles and all the processes that take place in their body. Such an important group. So important that we're going to be talking about a recipe that you can make at your house with ingredients you likely have on hand. Today for our protein recipe, we're going to be making one of my all-time favorite protein recipes. It also incorporates some whole grains, so it's a win-win recipe. This recipe is called Oatmeal Energy Bites, and maybe you've tried these before. They're super easy. They only require a few ingredients. You can eat them for breakfast on the go, for snacks with your lunch, or even for a dessert, because they are very sweet. Let's get started. The first recipe, or the first ingredient for our recipe, is going to be 1 cup of oats. These are really inexpensive and belong in the grain group. They are whole grains, which means they have not been processed to have any part of the grain removed. We also will add in a 1/2 cup of peanut butter. Now this is where our protein comes from. We'll add that peanut butter right into our oats. And next we're going to add some honey. Now this creates a little bit of stickiness so that the recipe will stay together. We're going to do 1/4 cup of honey. We'll just mix this together. And this will add a little bit of sweetness as well. Is this recipe looking familiar? Maybe you've tried this before. We're also going to add, this is probably an unfamiliar ingredient for some of you. It's called flaxseed. But this flaxseed also belongs in the protein group. It has a lot of protein. It comes from flax and gives you protein from the seed. It's been ground, so that means it's like a flour, a powder. And we're going to add 1/3 cup of this. Now, if you don't have flaxseed at your house or you can't find it in the store, you can use more oats here. You could also try crushed up cereal. You can experiment with lots of different ways. This just adds a little more texture and more protein to our recipe. So I'm going to use my spatula to mix these ingredients together. And then we're going to add one more ingredient, which I'm sure you'll be thrilled about. We're going to add some chocolate chips. Now, typically we don't want to add a lot of sugary, added sugar to our recipes, but I'm going to add about 1/3 cup of mini semi-sweet chocolate chips. And you, of course, can experiment and do different things. Another tasty add-in you can add to our recipe is some dried fruit like raisins or cranberries are another great way to make this recipe maybe a My Plate energy ball where you incorporate some dried fruit as well. So I'm going to add 1/3 cup of these mini chocolate chips. They're like mini size. You could also use full size ones. You could do milk chocolate chips, white chocolate chips, a mix of different kinds. I've also seen peanut butter flavored chips before, and those would be delicious in here as well. So I'm just gonna mix this together, and it's that simple. We're already finished. I'll show you how delicious it looks. So we just have our oats mixed with our peanut butter, honey, flaxseed, and some chocolate chips added in there. And then you just take out some of that dough and roll it into a ball and put it in the fridge. You don't even have to cook it. So simple and easy, right? And you totally can eat it right now, right as you're making it. Putting it in the fridge just helps it to harden up so it holds its shape a little better. You don't have to store them in the fridge, but they do, like I said, hold their shape a little better, and they're not quite as squishy when they've been sitting in the fridge for a little while. And that's it. So simple and easy. I'll make sure to send this recipe home with you so you can take it home and hopefully create it with your family and enjoy this recipe for snack time or a quick breakfast if you're running late in the morning. Today for your activity, you'll be playing Protein Pictionary. The PE teacher has a whiteboard, a marker, and a bag of protein food cards. You'll each get a turn to choose a protein food card and draw it on the whiteboard. Now remember, there's no talking when you're the artist. You can take clues, you can nod your head, shake your head, but no speaking and no writing words on the board. You'll have a few minutes to make these clues and have the class guess. Good luck and practice eating protein foods this month. Remember how important protein foods are for your body as your body uses them all throughout. It's essential that you're eating enough protein foods to stay strong and healthy. See you next time. Goodbye.